Okay, so we've heard a lot of great stuff what to do with data. We are a technology company and we are rather selling an enabler, so I hope maybe you have some of the problems that we can solve. Maybe you know this, there's a lot of different data buckets on the left side, and the poor controlling guy or the poor business development guy or just the poor guy who has to do everything manually. Really a lot of data, yeah? Done in Excel or in other tools, or maybe you hire an army of students who is doing some stuff manually for you. So really this is a problem for a lot of companies. This could be internal data sources or external data sources, it really doesn't matter. Whichever data, we don't really care. So what is our product? Our product is something like a virtual database that, just like this vacuum cleaner, sucks everything from all the data buckets together into one big database. Yeah? It could be your HR system or Salesforce or Nugget data or Google Analytics or Google AdWords. Really, it really doesn't matter. Our database takes everything automatically and arranges it in a nice form. And then what happens? Our software is just an interface. You can work with whichever front-end tool you like. So if you have business objects or Tableau or TIBCO Spotfire or Excel, this is just accessing our database. And our database then checks who is using which data in which aggregations, indices, sums, and so on, and optimizes the database so that the performance of the queries is increasing. And just to give you an example, normally this job is done by a big data warehouse, which costs like 500,000 euros or €1 million, and we can do it for less than 100,000 euros, and we are ready in roughly 2 days. Because this is all done automatically. You don't need the consultants, you don't need anything, it's all done automatically. So here's the Nugget example, because we needed that one. Nugget is giving out the data just like any other data, and it could be hosted on a platform just like it's currently done. But what would be a very nice example of using this data is a supermarket chain who is analyzing product group by product group what is selling good and bad in their stores. So imagine there's a chain of like 800 stores in Germany and they want to do a local assortment because this is really what the people want, local products from the farms in their region. And together with some data on the demographics and on the customer preferences, you could optimize the assortment for each of these individual stores. So that would be a great example where you can combine external data with the data that you have internally in your systems. And it's all in one tool, so you don't have to open this and take the report manually. No, you can make it really in your favorite front-end tool. You don't need to change the way you're working, just you have much more information than before. Another example is from a current client that we have, and they had the problem that they have their internal their internal revenue data in MySQL, and all the data from search machines is in Google AdWords. And in MongoDB, they are saving some customer service on the satisfaction. And Google Analytics is showing how the people actually got to their page. That means the customer journey, how they got there. And we can also extract all this information automatically from all these sources and put it together into one database so that everybody in the company can work with it. So this was really the first time that this company could calculate a profit and loss account client by client. We have a lot of data sources that we can work with. This is all the names that you have here. And we have lots under development. We can also work with the big guys like SAP, Oracle, also the open source databases. We can work with structured and with multidimensional data, so it really doesn't matter. Our database checks what is the best form to have the best performance and then saves the data in the different databases. As I said, we're really fast. Usually this project takes months, or if you integrate 2 big banks, this can last for like over a year. If you merge Commerzbank and Dresdner Bank, this really takes a long time before you can actually say how many customers you have. And we can usually show the data that the guys are not able to show within the first 1 or 2 days. So it's fast, it's affordable, and it's flexible because everything is done automatically. Normally this sounds too good to be true, and some people have a lot of questions, but we can maybe elaborate on that. Think about it. Probably all you have had some problems from the technological side in the past of how to get the data together, and since we have a lot of expertise on doing this automatically, maybe this is interesting. Thank you.
That's the holy grail. Disparate integration of disparate systems is something that people have been trying to do for many, many years. That typically costs very large amounts of money. It takes a lot of time. So, can you elaborate on? I get the value proposition. How does it work? How do you manage to do that?
We are using two technologies. The first technology is called data federation. This technology is extracting data directly from the data sources. Usually, these data warehouse guys, they need to analyze first how every user is working. They need to make huge questionnaires and surveys and really find out what the queries are. And then they need to model the system, and then they need to load the data. And that's the whole first round is like shit, and then they have to do it again, and that's why it takes so many months. And we do it just the other way around. We make a virtual database that just looks like a data warehouse first, and we get all the data directly from the source systems. And in the second step, we have something like an intelligent algorithm that analyzes how people are working with this database and building the performance behind it. So once the data queries are known and the aggregations in the indices, then our system says, oh, we could organize the data in this and that way with this and that database, and then the performance is backing up all the data. So it's really two parts.
That's exactly the other side of the room. How would you define the objects you're dealing with? So if this is done automatically, how would you identify what objects to match?
I mean, probably you're referring to the metadata information. So what we get is usually the source tables in each system, and there's metadata information. So there's one admin user interface for our software, because it really doesn't have a front end, and you just need one guy in the company that knows in which system the data is, and then our system makes recommendations. For example, if you have date format that looks different in SAP and in Oracle, that's quite easy, because date, month, date, okay, that's an easy one to match. Customer ID is also quite easy. And then we're also integrating external sources for matching data quality. For example, we can integrate recommendations on cleaning up postal zip codes and so on. So we can use these services externally to clean up the database as well.
Costs a fraction of 100,000.
Yeah. ClickView is an in-memory solution, and probably for most people it really doesn't matter what the database type behind is. I mean, I just want my data, I don't really care how I get it. What's the difference? We have a scalable solution, that means a data warehouse behind. So often people say about ClickView that everybody's installing their own tool in front end, and the IT and the company doesn't really have a control over all these different KPIs that are going around in the company. So for example, you download ClickView, you install it, the license is not so expensive, but there is really no centralized data behind this ClickView. And this becomes really a problem when you want to have a common dashboarding system or a common monitoring in the company. And we can be much more scalable than ClickView, because ClickView is always using just one technology, and we are using different technologies at the same time. as a function of what data we have and what the queries are. And also another difference to ClickView is that you are stuck with the front end of ClickView. A lot of people like it. I don't like it at all. I prefer Tableau software, for example. That's much nicer. And you can use your own front end, whichever you like. And our software works with all of them. Thanks.